out on the street without the food. They just simply do it for the good and your actual calm or happy reaction to that. So that's how that kind of works. So when you're dealing with, for instance, a dog that doesn't even know what the word good is, and this happens a lot when people like adopt dogs that are older or what have you, or haven't been socialized with people, you actually use that calm heart rate and that scent of food to actually teach the dog what good means without, getting out a dictionary and trying to explain that, which is not possible. So this is something I just kind of want to soak that into your brain. This is important. So I'm going to talk about some few examples of where I've used it, and in terms of our scent, because remember, the heart rate has to do with how we smell, and it's really, really important that you be aware of that. So with this, one of the things that I started using was when I was really young. It just made sense to me that if you slow down your heart rate, assuming that they could hear your breathing and possibly even your heart beating, that if you slow down your heart rate and relaxed your jaws and relaxed your eye contact and not even made direct eye contact, you could gain trust from animals who are scared of you very easily in comparison to trying to coax, manipulate, or use food even. So I figured that out as a young age, would play this game of, so when I'd lay down and go to bed, I would just kind of like see how slow I could breathe and how slow my heart rate could go. And I would use that when I was dealing with like stray dogs. And then later on when I started working in the veterinarian's offices where I had to do all those nasty things like give them baths and clip their nails and that sort of thing, I used the same techniques to approach these dogs, to walk them through the hallways, to get them from the bathtub and then back down, and to dry them, and to, with a towel and then with a hair dryer, with a brush and all the stuff, and not get bitten. I rarely ever got bitten. There's usually a few small dogs out there that got away with it, but most dogs never did, even though they were very, very frightened. I used relaxation techniques to make sure I stank like everything was cool. Me saying, it's okay, it's all right, da-da-da, doesn't help me smell better. It actually ups my heart rate. It actually increases the pitch, and it makes the dog more fearful. So you need to learn how to stink in the right kind of way. So if there's a stressful situation with your dog, considering slowing down your heart rate, relaxing your jaw, and just breathing softly so that you actually stink properly to gain your dog's trust. Another situation is when there were only 2 dogs so far. There's lots of opportunity for more of it, but there are only 2 dogs so far who have really scared the garbage out of me. And those dogs walked right up to me and almost about within 6 inches of my head, lowered their forehead and looked at me through their brow bone, like, as if like an old angry woman looking at a little kid and shaking their finger at you. Those are the ones that scare me, not the barking, lunging ones, the ones that silently come up to you and just look down at you through their brow bone, which means if you move the wrong way, I will take you out. Guess which way is the wrong way? So in those situations, one time I was actually pinned up against a wall. It happened to be a pit bull, a rather large male pit bull, and I was sitting on the floor up against a breakfast bar at someone's house. And he decided that after I had spent some time on the leash work outside with him, and I had kind of won that battle, that he just randomly came up. It's not really random, but he randomly came up to me and just gave me the brow bone look. And I was like, great. I got to breathe my way out of this. And I literally would just, for both dogs, just turn my head just a little bit, drop my jaw, breathe really gently, just sort of fluttered my eyes gently as if I was falling asleep, and they backed off. And the reason that worked, the reason I knew to do that, is that if you smell like their aggression relaxes you, they just pulled out their aces on you. They've got nothing left. So it would take a really psychotic dog to go after you if you completely relaxed as if this didn't bother you at all. That's really hard to do, by the way. It's a good thing I've been practicing since I was like 10 years old. But this is something that you have to understand. It's a very, very powerful tool. How you smell has a lot to do with how the dog responds to you. Another example is my fiance, who is horrible with dog training, quite honestly, but every single animal thinks he's the coolest. Oh, they just want to be close. I saw him do this to a goldfish in an office today. A goldfish, people. He started talking to the goldfish, and the goldfish was just like, "Oh, I love you." It was right up there. I mean, they're completely useless to me afterwards. I have to fix all their behaviors, but they are absolutely attracted to him and like a freaking magnet. And the reason is, for whatever reason, he smells in a certain way that makes animals just come to him. That just roll over and do not anything he wants. They won't listen to him. I'm going to let you know that. They won't listen to him in terms of obedience, but they will just cling to him like he's just the most awesome, greatest, fluffy pillow full of candy kind of guy, which is probably true for animals. So, anyway, it's the smell. It has nothing to do with anything else that's going on. Now, like I said, because he smells that way, he can't get them to obey him for anything, except for maybe food when they feel like it. So it's kind of a problem. All right, another story where you're using the scent of and heart rate and breathing. 4th of July, I've got 5 dogs in a crate in the same room. The fireworks are starting to go off. And I'm sitting in the room. I've got the door closed with a big bag of Stella and Chewy's dehydrated surf and turf, which is like, fish and beef. Big old bag. A fresh bag of patties. A bottle of wine and a glass. And I'm slowly pouring the wine, and I pop that thing open. I'm just sitting squat, like cross-legged on the floor, head down as if I'm going to fall asleep. And I'm just waiting, and I'm just sitting there slowly, because it might be a long night. And I don't want to get drunk too fast. I just want to take it real easy. And I'm just breathing real soft, and I pull out a patty and put him on one of my kneecaps, and I just wait. And that room is starting to smell like beef and fish. And next thing you know, all these dogs are panicking, are starting to kind of be distracted by it. And the first dog that looked up at me, as I'm looking at him sideways, I flip a piece of the food into the crate. And then I take a sip of wine. And I relax. And then the next dog that looks at me, flip a piece of food. Next thing you know, I've got 5 dogs looking at me, not panicking, relaxed, chilling out, and all falling asleep by 10 o'clock. And the fireworks aren't over. I took a picture of each of the dogs, sent them to their owners, and said, "My work is done here. Thank you very much." It was all about associating just the scent of food. If I had just tried to force them to eat, they wouldn't have eaten it if I'd left it. I had to wait till they were ready. They wanted it. They just really wanted it because it was so overwhelming in that room and so engaging for them that I was completely relaxed with all the fireworks going off in the neighborhood, and I'm just sitting there just breathing almost at a sleep rate, relaxed, and just boom, the food shows up when they look up at me. So this is another example of where instead of forcing the food, you've got yourself a situation where the dogs learn to just by scent of the food and by the way I stink. I don't think the wine had anything to do it for them, but how I stink. This is how they learn to overcome their fear and completely relax and fall asleep. Of course, the crate training had something to do with that, so they didn't start running around and finding ways to wind themselves up. But all of the rest of it was about the scent, my stink and the food stink, all associated with relaxation. So when it comes to also times of stress, if you're freaked out about a situation, oh gosh, there's that fence. I tell my students, think about your favorite food. Think about what your favorite drink is, and that is your prize for going through the gauntlet. And you two are going to go through it together, and this is victory. When you think about your favorite food and drink in the midst of stress, you're going to change that stress energy into something delicious. And that gets your dog's attention. Because that's how they hunt. That's how one of them goes, oh, squirrel, delicious, right? Along with the drive to actually chase. So you want to actually engage your dog through the way you stink as opposed to just stinking like fear and stress. Start stinking like filet mignon, Cabernet, broccolini with some Parmesan cheese grated on top. I mean, that's the way you should stink, you know what I'm saying? Something yummy. I mean, if you're vegan, go there. A little tofu. that kind of thing, some noodles, go for it. But you're going to salivate and smell like something is tasty coming to you guys. And this is going to get your dog's attention a lot better than just being stressed out and forceful. So using that scent is super, super powerful. You need to start learning how to stink properly. Absolutely. If you come home from work and you're stressed out or there's stress in the household right now, put the dog into the crate. Don't let them feed off that stink. You smell differently when you're having an argument with your significant other. Or the kids are wound up and screaming and playing. They smell different, and it may be misunderstood. If you need to teach your dog to overcome distractions, go to the distracting place like a dog park, but just stay in the little parking lot over there and have a little picnic. And just teach your dog to ignore the barking and all that stuff from a distance and just associate you guys having a meal. Have some In-N-Out, share some fries, whatever. Don't add salt to it if you can do that. All right? So have a picnic together and share food. Even if your dog's not accepting the food, they associate that food and smell with you being calm, that smell as well, with the smell of the dogs being jerks behind the fence. So this is all super important. You stink all the time to your dog. What I want you to do is start stinking like you're in control, everything's cool, and you associate it with the scent of food, and you associate it with the word good, and you got yourself a very useful tool. And this is something that most trainers are not going to tell you, by the way. And some trainers don't even realize they have this gift already, so they wouldn't even know how to communicate that to you. I have just leaked out a big secret to all of you. So, tell everybody else so it won't be such a secret. I want you guys to be successful with your dogs, okay? I want your dogs to be successful. All right, I'm done talking about stinking and stuff. In fact, I probably should take a shower tonight before going to bed because it's been a long day with the dogs. All right, so you know what I say, to love is to serve in the dog world. So give your dog little ways every day to serve you, and in return, you will have served them well. I'll talk to you all next week. Take care. Bye.